Hi everybody, and thank you so much for joining me today for this masterclass on how to beat belly fat. Now that is a really hot topic in perimenopause and menopause because in our early 20s it seemed like it was easy to get rid of belly fat. But now that we're in our 40s, 50s, and 60s, it seems like it's impossible. Now, listen, I have been through 4 pregnancies. I'm nearly menopausal. So I've had a lot of fluctuations in my weight, especially in my belly area. So I do know what it's like to have this thing called belly fat. And I've also been through a lot of health ups and downs throughout my 40s and early 50s that has really led me to believe that I have been experiencing a ton of hormone imbalance and a ton of inflammation. So today we're really going to dig into some ways that we can combat this belly fat in perimenopause and menopause. So give me a comment yes below if you are ready to lose some belly fat, and let's dig into some of this. So I'm just going to pull up my little cheat sheet here, and we are going to get into this hot topic. Now, when we're talking about belly fat, we're referring to visceral fat, or the fat that lives in our abdomen, but in the deeper layers that surround the organs. So we're talking about the liver, the pancreas, the intestines. It's actually a more dangerous type of fat because of the inflammatory effects of it. So it's not necessarily visible from the outside, but outside fat can be an indicator that we do have excess visceral fat in the inside layers. So what causes belly fat and how can we tackle this? So of course, number one, excess sugar, refined carbs, processed foods, and honestly, just way too many calories in the American standard diet. Unfortunately, the food industry has not done us any favors with this, and it's really fed into this cycle of addiction. So, the American standard diet, the portion sizes are huge. You go to the restaurants, and honestly, when you get a plate of food, it's probably enough for more like 2 or 3 people. So that is a big contributor also. So when we look at cookies, candies, chips, cereals, crackers, pancakes, cakes, bagels, muffins, pastas, white rice, and it seems like it's all the fun stuff, right? But to me, what's even more fun than that is living a long and vibrant life. So this type of diet can lead to something called insulin resistance. And this is where insulin can no longer do its job appropriately of getting glucose into the cells. So as a result, the body makes even more insulin and the glucose ends up building up in your bloodstream. So honestly, insulin can be a bit of a bully. When it doesn't get its way, it starts pushing you around and making itself bigger. So it's our job really to put insulin in its place and not allow it to take over. So this might be music to your ear, but did you know that you cannot exercise your way out of visceral fat or belly fat? It has to be done in the kitchen. So exercise is crucial for longevity and strength, but we have to manage our diets in order to get rid of the belly fat. So we want to be choosing things that are low on the glycemic index, and these are foods that do not spike your blood sugar in an abrupt manner. So there's a lot of places on Google where you can find this glycemic index, and it's a really good thing to check out. These are foods that, again, are less likely to cause those big spikes in blood sugar, and that in itself can really contribute to belly fat. So here's a few substitute tips. Instead of bread, try some lettuce wraps or low-carb tortillas. For breading, maybe try some grated cheese or almond flour. Instead of chips, try some Parmesan cheese crisps. Instead of mashed potatoes, maybe try some mashed cauliflower. For pasta, you can do spiralized non-starchy vegetables. And then for rice, you can do like cauliflower rice, And then soda is a big one. If you can cut out soda from your diet, that is a huge chunk of the battle. So I like to do lemon water or even some flavor packets in my water. So avoid bringing sugars and carbs home from the store. I always talk to my clients about, if you're going to bring it home, it's probably going to get eaten in the home. So just be really cautious of what you're putting into your grocery cart. In my one-on-one coaching program, I bring my clients through a kitchen inventory. So this is where they take a really close look at what is existing in their kitchen, what they can get rid of. Maybe they have a special shelf for things that are sort of off limits. So that's a very important first step, is to really take a step back and take a look at what is in your kitchen. So put a comment ready in the comments below if you're ready to break that sugar addiction. This is a really tough step, but it can be done. So number 2 cause of belly fat and how we can get rid of it are imbalances in our hormones. So our estrogen levels, our cortisol, our thyroid levels, these can all be really closely tied to our belly fat because they are tied to insulin resistance. So when we move through perimenopause, our estrogen levels drop. We're more prone to moving into that insulin resistance because of that. Anti-inflammatory eating is a huge focus of my program because it really helps to balance those hormones out. So all the hormones need to work in harmony. When there's an imbalance in one, there tends to be an imbalance in the other hormones. So, for example, if we are chronically under stress and our cortisol levels are through the roof, it's going to be very, very hard for insulin to do its job. And again, we're going to move into that insulin resistance. So, number 1 goal with belly fat is getting our stress levels down and getting our rest. So again, when we're in that constant fight or flight with the cortisol levels, what our bodies do is they go into protection mode. So they're very smart. When we're highly stressed, it's like, let's store some fat. So we really want to walk through life with some intentional activities that we can get our stress levels back down. So another thing is to really consider gut health in this whole equation. Did you know that 70% of the cells that make up your immune system actually live in the walls of your gut? I just found that so interesting when I found that out. So if you're chronically sick and diseased, guess where the root of that problem is? It's probably in the gut lining. So how do we heal our guts? Because if we heal our gut, we are more healthy and we're able to just shed those pounds much quicker. So a lot of it is getting back to that intuitive thinking around eating, getting rid of the sugar and the carb, getting out of that cycle of addiction. So that part is really, really key. So intermittent fasting is also a great way, as long as you're eating healthy foods inside of your eating window. So what I like to do is an eating window of, say, like 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. I do tend to like to cut off my eating window earlier in the evening. I find that I sleep better and I just feel like my food is digesting quicker. So find that fasting window and that eating window that work in your schedule. So belly fat is one of the biggest drivers of heart disease, type 2 diabetes, and honestly just full body inflammation. So when we have belly fat, it's really an indicator that we have deeper layers of visceral fat, and it's a really important thing to get a handle on, especially in midlife. So even something like premature aging, that can actually be caused by this insulin resistance and this visceral fat. So I don't know about you, but I want to stay younger longer. It's pretty amazing how our bodies are created truly like a symphony. So every player needs to work in harmony with the rest. So I've said this before, our goal is not to get skinny, but our goal is to get strong and to be able to live as independently and vibrantly as we can for as long as possible. So for me, I'll be 54 this year. I don't know about you, but for many years I was feeding my body a lot of junk. I ate a lot of soda, a lot of licorice, Tootsie Rolls, candy. Every time I was at the store, I was picking up candy. And it was kind of this perfect storm between my diet, my hormones being out of balance, and then my stress levels were super, super high. And my body could handle that in my 20s and 30s, but once I got to my 40s, I really started crashing. So I had to take a really intentional look at what I was putting into my body and where my hormone levels were. So now I'm fueling my body with what it truly needs, physically and emotionally. And I think it's time for me to turn around and to start helping you with your wellness journey as well. So put a number 1 in the comments below if you found this interesting. And I hope to do way more masterclasses like this with different topics. So if you have something that is of interest to you, feel free to comment, or you can always private message me. I do free discovery calls for anybody that is interested in finding out some more about how I can help in their wellness journey. We talk through short and long-term goals, and we just kind of get to know each other a little bit. So feel free to reach out to me anytime, and I hope you are all having a great day, and thank you so much for joining.